חברות וחברי הכנסת, אני מתכבד לפתוח את הישיבה המיוחדת של הכנסת לכבוד ראש ממשלת הודו, מר נרנדרה מודי. ראש הממשלה חבר הכנסת בנימין נתניהו ורעייתו שרה.
What if I told you you can erase negative thoughts, overthinking and childhood trauma permanently from your life by rewiring your brain?
שרות ושרים, חברות וחברי הכנסת בעבר ובהווה, מהקואליציה ומהאופוזיציה, External Affairs Minister Dr. S.J. Shankar, National Security Advisor Mr. Ajit Doval, Foreign Secretary Mr. Vikram Misri, Ambassador of India to Israel J.P. Singh, Ambassador, yes, Ambassador of Israel to India, Reuven Azar. Members of the distinguished delegation, members of Israel's senior state leadership, heads of foreign missions to Israel, מנכ"ל הכנסת, משה צ'יקו אדרי, מזכיר הכנסת דן מרזוק, היועצת המשפטית לכנסת, עורכת הדין שגית אפיק, חברי הנהלת הכנסת, אורחים נכבדים מקהילות יוצאי הודו בישראל, distinguished guests, it is our profound honor to welcome the leader of the world's largest democracy and a leader that defining statesman of our time, the Prime Minister of the Republic of India, His Excellency Narendra Modi. Namaste. For Prime Minister Modi, leadership is not merely the administration of a state, but the inspiration of a nation, a huge nation. Guided by that conviction, he has transformed India. He reshaped the landscape in public health, industry, agriculture, and infrastructure. He ignited a digital revolution and drove historic advances in economic improvement and inclusion. He made India the fastest growing major economy on earth, lifting hundreds of millions of lives. In doing so, he gave new meaning to the words, Jai Hind, long live India. For over 2 millennia, India gave Jews a home and, in our darkest hours, a refuge. India's ancient Jewish communities helped build this land and this country and continue to enrich it with India's culture, cuisine, and warmth. Diplomatic relations were established early, but it was the two prime ministers, Modi and Netanyahu, who forged a true strategic partnership. In 2017, our guest made history as the first Prime Minister of India to visit Israel. I was honored at Prime Minister Netanyahu's invitation to meet him as a Knesset freshman. Today, it is my great privilege as Speaker of the Knesset to welcome him as the first Prime Minister of India to address the Knesset and to make history once again. Thank you, Prime Minister Modi. Between these milestones, cooperation has deepened across every field, most notably in security and technology. As you, Prime Minister, said, technology yields its greatest benefit when shared. In that spirit, our nations are invaluable assets to one another. כשנבחרתי לתפקיד יושב ראש הכנסת הונחו לפני הצעות לבחירת יעדים לביקור המדיני הראשון. כשביקשתי לדעת באילו מדינות לא ביקר מעולם יושב ראש כנסת, הופתעתי לגלות כי הודו היא אחת מהן. הבחירה על כן הייתה קלה, והקמתי משלחת לביקור המדיני בהשתתפות חברי הכנסת עמית הלוי מהקואליציה ומיכאל ביטון מהאופוזיציה המובילי קבוצת הידידות בכנסת. With my dear friend and esteemed counterpart, Om Birla, Speaker of the Lok Sabha, we signed the first ever MOU between our parliaments. Over the course of my visit, I encountered a great civilization, a thriving democracy, and a people of remarkable dignity and resolve. החברות בין שתי האומות שלנו עמדה במבחן המאבק המשותף שלנו בטרור. לאחר טבח 7 באוקטובר, ראש הממשלה מודי היה מהמנהיגים הראשונים שגינו את זוועות החמאס ועמדו באחווה לצידם של אזרחי ישראל. ממש כפי שאנחנו עמדנו לצידה של הודו בשעותיה הקשות, לאחר פיגוע הטרור במומבאי ב-2008 ובפלגם בשנה שעברה. שני העמים שלנו נאלצים להילחם בטרור, ושניהם, בעזרת השם, ימשיכו לנצח. Next week, the Jewish holiday of Purim and the Indian holiday of Holi will coincide. Colors will fill the air as both our nations celebrate light's triumph over darkness. Both our peoples will proclaim the same timeless truth. Hope always prevails. Prime Minister, you are, as King David was, both statesman and poet. In your poem, Ash, Hope, you describe it as a flame that bursts forth to sear the darkness with its might. That flame burns in the Psalms of King David too. Kaveh el Adonai, chazek ve'yametz libecha, kaveh el Adonai. Hope in the Lord, be strong and let your heart take courage. Hope in the Lord. Our national anthem is called Hatikva, the hope. Mr. Prime Minister, you have called the India-Israel relationship a partnership of hope. From Hatikva to Asha, hope is the hallmark of our bond. Since last night, Prime Minister, the Knesset building has been illuminated in the colors of India. May the light that unites Jerusalem and New Delhi illuminate our nation's future. Mr. Prime Minister, a Jerusalem main apka swagate, Knesset main apka swagate. Welcome to Jerusalem, welcome to the Knesset.
make it a habit. A 10-minute AI routine every morning. You'll be unrecognizable by Christmas.
חברות וחברי הכנסת, אני מתכבד כעת להזמין את ראש הממשלה, חבר הכנסת בנימין נתניהו, לשאת דברים. בבקשה, אדוני ראש הממשלה.
אדוני היושב-ראש, חברות וחברי הכנסת, heads of state, prime ministers, they come to the Knesset, we greet them warmly, and it's always an exciting moment. For all of us, and for me too. But I have to tell you, Narendra, my dear friend, I am deeply, deeply moved by your visit here today, because I have to be diplomatic. I will not rank it, because I'll get into trouble. But I've never been more moved than by your visit here with us, a great friend of Israel, a great champion of the Indian-Israeli alliance, and a great leader on the world stage. Welcome to Jerusalem, my dear friend, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and your distinguished delegation. Welcome to Jerusalem. Now, I said, Narendra, my dear friend, these are not just words. I would almost venture to say, more than a friend, a brother. In many ways, brothers. Now, when you were last here, we, the two of us, were on the Mediterranean coast. And I said, why don't we take off our shoes and go into the water, which we wanted to purify, and we did, with Israeli technology. So, with all deference to our Christian friends, they said we didn't wade in the water, we walked on water. That's not true. We didn't walk on water, but we did perform miracles since then. Because what we have done is we've doubled our trade, tripled our cooperation, quadrupled our understandings in ways that I cannot begin to describe. And in some ways, probably shouldn't describe. But it's been a wondrous friendship, both personally, between the two of us, and between our two countries and our two peoples. Earlier today, my wife Sarah and I greeted you in the airport, and just as you came down the steps, we embraced each other. Because Prime Minister Modi's personal embrace is something special. It's called the Modi hug. It's well known around the world. And when you hug someone closely, truly, it's not an act, it's a real thing. It's called the Modi hug. So I want to return the hug here too from every single one of the Knesset members. And it's not only an indication of the personal relations, of the personal friendship between us, but it really reflects the warmth of the tie between our two peoples. Now, India, as you know, India is a gigantic power of almost 1.5 billion people. Israel is somewhat smaller, somewhat. But Israel is gigantic too. It's a gigantic power, gigantic in spirit, gigantic in deed, capable of performing miracles. And I want to say that the alliance between us is an enormous multiplier of our individual powers, enormous multiplier. It's a multiplier of the spirit and the multiplier of deeds and capabilities. We are two ancient civilizations going back thousands of years. And if you look at where human civilization developed on the planet, it developed in a few places. And chief among them, the Indus Valley and the Jordan Valley. These are the places where enormous things developed, enormous spiritual things, conceptual things, matters of the heart, matters of the mind, matters of morality. We're two ancient civilizations, and we had to go through the voyage of time, the odyssey of time, with so many trials and tribulations, and yet 80 years ago, we emerged, the two of us, from British rule, almost 80 years, almost at the same time, achieved our independence. We share so many common interests. We're two democracies. You're a gigantic democracy, but Israel is also, think about what we had to do, what we had to go through, and how we maintained our democracy against challenges that I believe few countries, if any, have faced. We are now deepening our deep bond, את הברית החזקה, האסטרטגית, הגלויה שיצרנו. יצרנו ברית גלויה. ולא פחות מזה, שתי המדינות שלנו נמצאות בשיא כוחן. ישראל חזקה מאי פעם, והודו חזקה מאי פעם. אמרתי עכשיו לראש ממשלת הודו, שישבנו אצלך במשרד, אדוני יושב ראש, אמרתי, אני עוקב, באופן אישי, אני עוקב אחרי כל הידיעות שמגיעות מהודו. הודו עכשיו מדורגת ממספר כזה וכזה בעולם, גבוה גבוה. הודו עכשיו השיגה יעד נוסף, גבוה גבוה. הודו עשתה כך והודו עשתה כך. אני אומר, קודם כל, נרנדרה עשה. ויחד איתו העם ההודי, ואני כל כך מרוצה, אני רק אומר, עוד ועוד ועוד. כי ב-12 השנים תחת מנהיגותך אתה יזמת רפורמות, אתה השקעת בתשתיות, אתה עשית בתעסוקה, בבריאות, בחקלאות, ברווחה, באיכות החיים, באנרגיה, בטכנולוגיה, בחדשנות. רציתי להגיד לכם, השמיים הם הגבול, מה פתאום? הודו היא מעצמת חלל, אחת הגדולות בעולם, שמיים לא הגבול. כלומר, האתגרים אף פעם לא נגמרים, אבל הודו, בהנהגתך, ידידי, ביססה את מעמדה כאריה אסייתי שמסתער על היעד. עוד צמיחה, עוד קדמה, עוד שגשוג, עוד שגשוג. ואני רוצה לומר לך, חברי נרנדרה, יש עוד סיבה להערכה עמוקה שאתה זוכה לה פה בבית הזה, ומהציבור בישראל. כי מיד לאחרי הטבח הנורא ב7 באוקטובר, מיד אחרי ההתקפה הרצחנית הזאת, אתה התייצבת בצורה כל כך ברורה, כל כך מוסרית, כל כך חדה, התייצבת לצד ישראל. You didn't flinch, you didn't waver, you didn't give excuses. You stood next to Israel, you stood by Israel, you stood for Israel, you stood for the truth. Thank you, my friend. אנחנו אף פעם לא נשכח זאת. אנחנו יודעים מול מה אנחנו התייצבנו. אבל רבים בעולם, אולי בסימפתיה רגעית, ראשונית, שכחו מהר מאוד. ישראל מתייצבת, ניצבה ומתייצבת, בחזית של הציוויליזציה מול האסלאם הקיצוני. ובסיס האם של האסלאם הקיצוני הוא המזרח התיכון. אבל הלבה שפולט הר הגעש של הקנאות הזאת, הלבה הזאת מתפשטת במהירות לכל יבשת, לכל מדינה. הודו כמו ישראל ידע פיגועי טרור קשים שגבו את חייהם של חפים מפשע. כשרעייתי שרה ואני ביקרנו במומבאי, היינו באותו מלון מפורסם שבו הייתה התקפה הרצחנית הזאת, ומשם הלכנו כמה מטרים למרכז חב"ד, ששם טרוריסטים מתועבים רצחו את הזוג, שני הורים צעירים של הילד מוישי. ומי הציל את מוישי? מי שהצילה את מוישי הייתה האומנת ההודית שלו. גם את זה לא נשכח אף פעם. הודו תומכת בישראל, וישראל תומכת בהודו, גם במקרים שהם ידועים, וגם במקרים שהם פחות ידועים. הודו תומכת בישראל, כי היא מבינה שישראל משמשת קיר מגן מפני הברבריות, ואנחנו עושים זאת קודם כל להגן על עצמנו, אבל גם בשירות העולם התרבותי. ישראל, כמו הודו, היא מבצר של דמוקרטיה, של חופש, של זכויות אדם, במרחב פראי רוחש סכנות. הטבח של 7 באוקטובר הבהיר חד משמעית, או שציר הרשע הג'יהאדיסטי ישבור אותנו, או שאנחנו נשבור אותו, ואנחנו שוברים ונשבור אותו. ועשינו זאת ואנחנו עושים זאת בזכות הגבורה של לוחמינו, הלוחמים והלוחמות, המפקדים והמפקדות שלנו. איזה גבורה, איזה גבורה. ידידי נרנדרה, הייתי רוצה להפגיש אותך, אם יהיה זמן, עם כמה מהם. צריך לראות אותם. הייתי רוצה להפגיש אותך עם הפצועים שלנו. חלקם קטועי גפיים. יש אחד מהם, אני אביא את התמונה שלו הערב, אני רוצה להראות לך. קוראים לו ארי, which means lion, Ari Spitz. And Ari lost his 2 legs and his arms, one of his arms. And he has prosthetics. He's sitting there smiling, cheering with his one healthy arm. And he says, Israel lives, Am Yisrael Chai. בזכות הגבורה של לוחמינו, בזכות ההחלטות המושכלות והאמיצות שקיבלה ממשלת ישראל שפרוסה פה לפניך, בזכות העמידה האיתנה של אזרחינו, בזכות כל אלה, הכינו את אויבינו שוק על ירך ב7 חזיתות של מלחמת התקומה. אבל ידידי היקר, אנחנו שילמנו מחירים יקרים. ואני רוצה לספר לך שגם לוחמים ולוחמות ממשפחות יוצאות הודו נפלו בקרבות. אנחנו מרכינים ראש לזכרם, יחד עם כל גיבורינו שנפלו. מלחמת המגן שלנו היא מלחמה צודקת מאין כמוה, אבל זו לא רק מלחמה בשדה הקרב. זו מלחמה על האמת, זו מלחמה על עתיד האנושות. ואני חייב להגיד שאנחנו רואים שבקרב על עתיד האנושות, גם הפעם האנטישמיות מרימה ראש. היינו שם רק לפני 80 שנה וראינו את זה. אנטישמיות שמתחילה עם היהודים, ואחר כך מסכדת את האנושות כולה. אל מול גלי האנטישמיות והשקרים שמותחים בינינו, לא הרכנו ראש. אבל גם במאבק הזה, נרנדרה, מצאנו בך ובהודו ידידי אמת. In a world where anti-Semitism is rising, India stands out. A civilization where Jews were never persecuted by the state, only welcomed. We don't forget that too. Thank you, India. נרנדרה, ידידי ראש ממשלת הודו, מול האסלאם הקיצוני שמאיים על האנושות כולה ועל המדינות החופשיות, נבנה יחד ברית ברזל. ברית של מדינות שדוגלות במתינות, בקדמה, בכבוד האדם, בכבוד הדדי. ברית של מדינות שמקדשות את החיים ושמוכנות להילחם נגד אלה שסוגדות למוות ורוצות להחזיר אותנו אל הברבריות האפלה של ימי הביניים. בשבוע הבא אנחנו נחגוג את חג הפורים, והעם היהודי יקרא את מגילת אסתר מתוך התנ"ך. הודו מוזכרת שם, כפי שאמרת יושב ראש, בתיאור ממלכת פרס ומדי הקדומה, שכדברי המגילה הסתרה מהודו עד כוש. קהילות יהודיות התקיימו במשך הדורות בהודו. מאז שזכינו בעצמאותנו, רבבות יהודים ילידי הודו באו לישראל, ולאחרונה החלטנו בממשלה לעלות לארץ חלק מקהילת בני המנשה בהודו. פגשנו את הנציגים שלהם, ילדים חמודים, ואחד מההורים אמר לי, אנחנו לא בני מנשה, אנחנו בני ישראל, נכון מאוד, והם עולים ארצה, מתוך רצונם להיקלט במדינתנו. כי הכמיהה לציון, הכמיהה לארץ ישראל, עומדת בלב החזון הציוני. את זה הבינו כמה מגדולי הרוח של הודו, שהתייחסו לציונות בראשית דרכה באהדה גדולה. ביניהם היה המשורר הדגול, טגור. טגור זכה בפרס נובל לספרות עוד לפני מלחמת העולם הראשונה. במהלכו, מלחמת העולם הראשונה, I know you know this, but I want to make sure that everyone knows this. In the First World War, when we were still under Ottoman occupation, those who helped us liberate this country, the British Army, in which there were Jewish fighters, including Jabotinsky, with the 1st Jewish Battalion, but also brave Iranian soldiers and commanders who fought like lions in the battle against Haifa for the liberation of Haifa. The forces were pushed back, and who stormed forward, gave their lives. Indian commanders. We never forget that too. They gave their lives for us. Tagore spoke so positively about our national movement, and his writings were translated into Hebrew. היו מי שישבו את דמותו, עטורת הזקן הלבן, לנביאי ישראל. מילים שיצאו בהודו דיברו אלינו, וכך גם מספרים שיצאו מהודו. דודי המנוח, פרופסור אלישע נתניהו, זיכרונו לברכה, היה ממקימי הפקולטה למתמטיקה בטכניון. That's our equivalent of MIT. הדוד אלישע תמיד דיבר איתי בהערצה על המתמטיקאים ההודים, ובייחוד הוא הזכיר את רמנוג'ן. הזכיר אותו הרבה פעמים, כי התגליות הגאוניות של רמנוג'ן בתחילת המאה ה-20 שינו את פני המתמטיקה. רמנוג'ן בא מהעם. הוא בא מהעם. הוא לא בא מהאוניברסיטה. גם אתה באת מהעם. אתה צמחת מהעם. אתה עלית מעלה כי ידעת מהם השורשים שלך. ובכן, כל זה קרה בתחילת המאה הקודמת. ולקראת סוף המאה הקודמת, הודו וישראל כוננו יחסים מלאים, ואחת התוצאות של מפנה דיפלומטי זה היא תנועת המטיילים הישראלים אל המזרח. עשרות אלפי ישראלים, צעירים ומבוגרים, מבקרים מדי שנה בהודו. הם מתפעלים מהכל, ממה שיש היום וגם מהמורשת התרבותית העתיקה. והם מספרים שאחד מאזרחי הודו שואל מטייל בישראל, כמה אתם? והישראלי עונה לו, 10 מיליון. וההודי ממשיך, וכמה בישראל? לא 1.5 מיליארד, אבל רבים שמעריצים את הודו, מחבקים את הודו, ורוצים גם לבוא להודו. אחד מהם זה אני, וגם רעייתי פה, אנחנו רוצים ביקור חוזר, זה בטוח. את זה כבר חילצתי, אני כבר אומר לכם, הישג דיפלומטי ראשון, נביא את הממשלה להודו. לא רק שנביא את ראש ממשלת הודו לממשלה, נביא את הממשלה, את ממשלת ישראל להודו, לביקור.
So you just mentioned that you want to learn Python. So do not learn Python in manual way in 2025 because learning Python in manual way will take you like 6 months.
They all want to come. בביקור הנוכחי שלך בישראל, אנחנו נהדק עוד יותר את הקשרים בינינו, גם האישיים וגם המדינתיים, כי יחד אנחנו מובילים מהלכים בקנה מידה היסטורי. זה קורה בוודאי ביחס לאתגרי הביטחון ולהזדמנויות בביטחון, אבל זה לא רק בביטחון. אנחנו יוצרים צירי פעולה חדשניים בכלכלה, במסחר, באנרגיה, בטכנולוגיה, בסייבר, בבינה מלאכותית ובחלל. בחלל, גם כן. שר הביטחון ישראל, אתה מרבה לדבר על זה, והנה, תדע שיש כאן אוזן קשבת. אנחנו מפתחים יחד את יוזמת איימק. זה מסדרון ימי ויבשתי שיחבר את הודו דרך חצי האי ערב. יחבר אותה לנמל חיפה, ומכאן לים התיכון ולאירופה, ואיימק, המסדרון היבשתי ימי הזה, יכול להתקיים ולשגשג רק אם יעבור דרך מדינות יציבות ובטוחות. ואין מדינות חזקות ובטוחות יותר בציר הזה מאשר הודו וישראל. ולכן אני מברך על המחויבות שלך לכך שישראל תהיה חוליה מחברת בין אסיה לאירופה דרך נמל חיפה. בביקור הזה שלך אני איישם גם הסכמים בתיירות, בתרבות, בחקלאות, במים, בהתפלה, וברוח הסכמי אברהם ושלום, אנחנו נמשיך את המהפכה של בריתות חדשות, של הגברת היציבות האזורית, של חיזוק החוסן, הקדמה והשגשוג. אני רוצה שתשימו לב, אנחנו לא רק מגיבים למציאות, אנחנו מעצבים את המציאות, מתוך קרבה ואמון גדולים מאי פעם. ידידי, נרנדרה, מאז ביקורך האחרון בישראל, הקודם, ב-2017, מים רבים זרמו בנהר הגנגס בהודו, כמו גם בים התיכון, שם טבלנו שנינו את רגלינו ביום קיץ נפלא. אבל מאז אני מבקש לעדכן אתכם שאנחנו שומרים על קשר רצוף, אנחנו מדברים עשרות פעמים בטלפון, שיחות כל כך גלויות, כל כך חבריות, עם חום הלב, חום אמיתי ולא מעושה. אנחנו הוספנו מאז לקדם את היחסים בינינו, אנחנו טיפחנו את הקשר בין שני העמים, שבכל אחד מהם יש הרבה סקרנות והרבה כישרון. אני זוכר את החוויה מרטיטת הלב שביקרנו יחד איתך במחוז גוג'ראט, שם גדלת, שם היית למושל, ושם המושל מודי גילה את הגאוניות של החקלאות בישראל, והביא אותה להודו, ומשם זה התפשט לכל הודו. ובכן, ביקרנו שם, וכשביקרנו בגוג'ראט, מאות אלפים של התושבים עמדו ברחובות והריעו ונופפו בדגלי ישראל והודו, והיה שם גם שלט ענק בעברית, ענק, כמו כל הבניין הזה. ברוכים הבאים. בעברית. אז היום, מכובדי, אתה שוב בישראל, אתה מתקבל כאן באותה קבלה חמה, באותה קרבת לבבות. במאה ה-21 אנחנו נביא את הברית בין ישראל להודו לגבהים חסרי תקדים, ואני בטוח שיום יבוא, אני בטוח, כי כשביקרנו בהודו אתה הבאת מופע של האומנים הפנטסטיים מבוליווד. אז אני אומר, יבוא יום ויעשו סרט בהוליווד על סיפור האחווה בין שתי המדינות, ואני מבטיח לכם, זה יהיה סרט שובר קופות. ראש הממשלה מודי, ידידי היקר נרנדרה, אני מברך אותך מעומק ליבי, אותך ואת פמלייתך. ברוכים הבאים תהיו כולכם בישראל, בירושלים, בחברות אמת ובהוקרת אמת. ברוכים הבאים.
תודה לראש הממשלה, ואני מזמין כעת את ראש האופוזיציה, חבר הכנסת יאיר לפיד, לשאת דברים, בבקשה.
Mr. Prime Minister, I'm only going to take a minute of your time to make sure you know whatever happened here today has nothing to do with you. The entire state of Israel. Let's try and not make things worse. The entire state of Israel is filled with admiration to your leadership, to your friendship, to the fact that you were here for us in our time of trouble, and to the alliance, the eternal alliance between our two states. So thank you very much for being here. And we are all, both sides of the aisle, looking forward to hear your speech. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
אני מתכבד, חברות וחברי הכנסת, אני מתכבד כעת להזמין את ראש ממשלת הודו, מר נרנדרה מודי, לשאת דברים. בבקשה.
His Excellency, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, His Excellency Mr. Amir Ohana, Speaker of the Knesset, His Excellency Mr. Yair Lapid, Leader of the Opposition, Honorable members of the Knesset, my dear sisters and brothers, Shalom. Namaste. Honorable members, it is a privilege and an honor for me to stand before this distinguished house. I do so as the Prime Minister of India and also as a representative of one ancient civilization addressing another.
Hey, have you heard of NumPy, Pandas, and Python? Well, they're actually tools for data.
1.4 billion Indians and a message of friendship, respect, and partnership. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, for your kind invitation and for your wonderful gesture of lighting up the Knesset in Indian colors. Your visit to India 3 years ago was the first by a speaker of the Knesset. And thanks to you, I'm the first Prime Minister of India to address this August gathering. Nine years ago, I had the good fortune to be the first Prime Minister of India to visit Israel. And I'm very happy to be here again, returning to a land to which I have always felt drawn. After all, I was born on the same day that India formally recognized Israel, September 17, 1950. Honorable members, I also carry with me the deepest condolences of the people of India for every life lost and for every family whose world was shattered in the barbaric terrorist attack by Hamas on October 7. We feel your pain. We share your grief. India stands with Israel firmly, with full conviction in this moment and beyond. No cause can justify the murder of civilians. Nothing can justify terrorism. India has also endured the pain of terrorism for a long time. We remember the 26/11 Mumbai attacks and the innocent lives lost, including Israeli citizens. Like you, we have consistent and uncompromising policy of zero tolerance for terrorism with no double standards. Terrorism aims to destabilize societies, to block development, and to erode trust. Countering terrorism requires sustained and coordinated global action because terror anywhere threatens peace everywhere. That is why India supports all efforts that contribute to durable peace and regional stability. Some years ago, when you concluded the Abraham Accords, we applauded your courage and vision. It was a moment of new hope for a long troubled region. Since then, the situation has changed significantly. The path is even more challenging. Yet, it is important to sustain that hope. The Gaza Peace Initiative that was endorsed by the UN Security Council offers a pathway. India has expressed its firm support for the initiative. We believe that it holds the promise of a just and durable peace for all the people of the region, including by addressing the Palestine issue. Let all our efforts be guided by wisdom, courage, and humanity. The road to peace is not always easy, but India joins you and the world for dialogue, peace, and stability in this region. Honorable members, in India, there is a great admiration for Israel's resolve, courage, and achievements. Long before we related to each other as modern states, we were linked by ties that go back more than 2,000 years. The book of Esther refers to India as Hodu. The Talmud records trade with India in ancient times. Jewish merchants traveled across sea routes that connected the Mediterranean with the Indian Ocean. They came seeking opportunity and dignity. And in India, they became one of us. Jewish communities have lived in India without fear of persecution or discrimination. They have preserved their faith and participated fully in society. That record is a source of pride for us. Honorable members, the Bene Israel of Maharashtra, the Kochini Jews of Kerala, the Baghdadi Jews of Kolkata and Mumbai, and the Bene Menashe of the Northeast have enriched India. In my home state, Gujarat, there is a school set up by a Bene Israeli family, Mr. and Mrs. Best. It is an excellent school, and of course, it is called the Best School. Edwin Myers gave shape to the film's division of India and was towering figure in the history of Indian cinema. Dr. Rubin David was the founder of the Kankaria Zoo in Ahmedabad. The actor David Abraham Cheulkar, or Uncle David, become a household name across the country. Walter Kaufman composed the signature tune for All India Radio. David Sassoon built many institutions that still serve Indian society. And of course, the heroic contribution of Lieutenant General J.F.R. Jacob during the 1970 war with Pakistan is widely known. I had the honor of working closely with him after his retirement. We discussed India-Israel relations, among many other things, over many cups of tea. There have been countless others whose contributions are woven into India's rich fabric of life. Honorable members, there was movement from India to Israel too, when many Indian Jews migrated to Israel in the mid-20th century. Today, a vibrant Indian origin Jewish community lives here. They are contributed to the building of modern Israel in laboratories and hospitals, in classrooms, and also on the battlefield. They hold firmly that Israel is their fatherland and India their motherland. We are proud of them. Honorable members, India's connection to this land is also written in blood and sacrifice. During the First World War, more than 4,000 Indian soldiers laid down their lives in this region. The cavalry charge at Haifa in September 1918 remains a significant chapter in military history. Major Thakur Dalpat Singh, remembered as the hero of Haifa, symbolized the shared history. During my last visit, I was deeply moved to pay my respect at the Haifa Memorial for Indian soldiers. Honorable members, last month, the world marked the International Holocaust Remembrance Day. The Holocaust stands as one of humanity's darkest chapters. Yet, even in those turbulent years, some acts of humanity stood out. The Maharaja of Navanagar in Gujarat also known as the Jam Sahib, offered.
कब्ज हेलो हेलो देख रहे हो कैसे बादल जैसे लाइट लाइट एकदम फ्रेश और एक्टिव लग रहा हूं? इसका राज है कब्ज से रातों रात राहत। थैंक यू झंडू नित्यम।
आज ही ले आइए झंडू नित्यम 100% आयुर्वेदिक कब्ज नाशक।
Thank you. Thank you for this honor and remembrance. Honorable members, after India's independence, many Indian leaders felt a kinship with the people of Israel. India's parliamentary debates of the 1950s are witness to their admiration for Israel's effort to develop agriculture in the desert. The kibbutz movement of Israel inspired our leaders like Acharya Vinoba Bhave and Loknayak Jayaprakash Narayan. First in my home state, Gujarat, and now across India, I've seen the approach of per drop, more crop work wonders in agriculture. My own first visit to Israel was in 2006 as the Chief Minister of Gujarat. Later in 2017, during my visit to Israel as Prime Minister, our two countries elevated the relationship to a strategic partnership. Since then, our engagement has expanded in scale and scope, and we are committed to further consolidate this relationship across many sectors. Honorable members, for the last few years, India has been the fastest growing major economy in the world. Soon, we will be among the top 3 economies globally. At the same time, Israel is a powerhouse of innovation and technological leadership. This creates a natural foundation for our forward-looking partnership. We are committed to expanding trade, strengthening investment flows, and promoting joint infrastructure development. The bilateral investment treaty signed last year will provide confidence and predictability to our businesses. In the last few years, India has concluded a number of important trade agreements with other nations. To your west, the European Union and the UK. To your east, the UAE and Oman. Our bilateral goods trade has grown significantly in recent years, but it does not reflect the full scope of opportunity. That is why our teams are working hard to negotiate an ambitious free trade agreement. It will unlock the vast untapped potential in our trade relationship. We will also work closely in different formats, such as India, Middle East, Europe Economic Corridor, and the I2U2 framework between India, Israel, UAE, and the US. Defense and security is another important pillar of our partnership. In November last year, we signed an MOU on defense cooperation. In today's uncertain world, a strong defense partnership between trusted partners like India and Israel is of vital importance. Honorable members, Israel is often called the startup nation. In recent years, we have also been working to unlock the innovation and creativity of our youth. I recall that in 2018, Prime Minister Netanyahu and I inaugurated the I Create Technology Business Incubator in India. Since then, it has supported nearly 900 such startups. Last week, we hosted the world's largest and the most democratized AI Impact Summit with representatives from over 100 countries. Our aspirational spirit aligns naturally with Israel's innovation ecosystem. I see a lot of synergies in areas such as quantum technologies, semiconductors, and artificial intelligence. We are also working with Israel on creating cross-border financial linkages using our digital public infrastructure. Honorable members, I mentioned how inspiring we found Israel's agricultural miracle in desert. Israeli expertise in precision irrigation and water management has already transformed agricultural practices in India. Together, we have established 43 centers of excellence across India that have provided training to more than 500,000 farmers. We should now set an ambitious goal to expanding to 100 centers to benefit millions of farmers and fishermen. Honorable members, at the heart of the India-Israel partnership are the ties between our peoples. When I first visited Israel in 2006, there were a handful of yoga centers in Israel. Today, yoga seems to be practiced in almost every neighborhood. I am told that interest in Ayurveda is also growing in Israel. I invite more and more young Israelis to travel to India. They will witness the dynamism of our society and experience what holistic wellness can do for the body and the mind. I'm happy to inform this August House that the Indian Parliament has set up a parliamentary friendship group for Israel. I invite you all to visit India and look forward to having more exchanges between our members of parliament. I'm aware that Indian caregivers and skilled workers in Israel contribute immensely to families and communities. They have displayed remarkable courage and dedication in times of crisis, including on October 7. We are proud of them. As the Jewish teachings reminds us, whoever saves one life saves the entire world. Their service reflects the strength of the human bonds behind our cooperation. We will continue to facilitate the movement of workers and professionals across sectors that benefit both of our nations. Honorable members, we are both ancient civilizations, and it is perhaps no surprise that our civilizational traditions also reveal philosophical parallels. In Israel, the principle of Tikkun Olam speaks of healing the world.
करियर से अर्ली रिटायरमेंट के लिए रेडी?
Come affirms that the world is one family. Both ideas extend responsibility beyond immediate boundaries. They ask societies to act with compassion and moral courage. Judaism emphasizes halakha, guiding everyday conduct through law and practice. Hindu philosophy speaks of dharma, the moral order that shapes duty and right action. In both traditions, ethical life is lived through action and faith is expressed through conduct. There is an enduring similarity in our festivals as well. You celebrate Hanukkah with the warm glow of candles. Around the same time, we celebrate Diwali, the festival of lights, with the gentle radiance of lamps. Soon, India will celebrate the festival of Holi, filled with happiness and color. And around the same time, Israel will also celebrate Purim with enthusiasm and joy. Honorable members, our shared ideals are the deep foundations that give strength to our modern partnership. We are democracies shaped by history and focused on the future. Our partnership is grounded in shared experience and shared aspirations. Our strong partnership not only serves national interests but also contributes to global stability and prosperity. Let us ensure that the friendship between India and Israel remains a source of strength in an uncertain world. Am Israel Chai. Jai Hind. Thank you.
Hi, this is Siddharth Varadarajan, and you are listening to The Wire. We just finished our telecast, our live telecast of the speech by Prime Minister Narendra Modi at the Knesset in Israel, Israel's parliament. And I would like to spend about 10 minutes essentially giving you my analysis of what Mr. Modi said. His speech was preceded by a very enthusiastic and emotional speech by the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. A lot of it was in Hebrew, so we aren't fully privy to what he said, at least not yet. But among the few things that he said in English, and I want to emphasize a couple of points before I move on to analyzing what Narendra Modi said. You know, Netanyahu made an important remark at the start of his comments where he spoke about, he used the word alliance to describe the India-Israel relationship. This isn't a word India uses. In fact, during his speech, even a pro-Israel politician like Narendra Modi preferred to use the word partnership. That's the word that Indian diplomacy also prefers. But Netanyahu spoke of an Israel-India partnership, an Israel-India alliance. And importantly, what he said was that in this relationship, India and Israel are a force multiplier for each other. In other words, Israel gets a great deal of ballast, support from its relationship with India. And he implied that India likewise benefits in the same way. I'm not entirely sure that that is correct, but why would an Israeli prime minister speak of India in this way? Well, it's pretty obvious, because at a time when Israel and Netanyahu are completely isolated globally, if you look at the diplomatic calendar over the last 15 or 16 months, ever since Netanyahu was indicted by the International Criminal Court, and ever since the genocide hearings began at the International Court of Justice in The Hague, there have been very, very few high-level international visitors to Israel. Marco Rubio, the American Secretary of State, is one of them, and Friedrich Scholz, the German Chancellor. I don't believe there have been any other significant visits. Narendra Modi is, of course, a very, very big catch for Netanyahu, because India is a country that carries enormous weight in the world. And so for him, he sees the visit by Modi as something which essentially endorses his whole approach, is an approach that has brought Israel discredit at the global stage. And by that approach, I mean the way in which he used the October 23 terrorist attack by Hamas on Israel as an excuse, as a pretext to launch the most vicious genocidal war against the people of Palestine. And that's the background. You have more than 70,000 Palestinians killed. You have an ongoing bloodbath in the West Bank and Gaza still, despite the ceasefire. You have Israel making aggressive moves to grab Palestinian territory. And it's in this context where the whole world is looking askance at what Netanyahu is doing, but the whole world is appalled by what Netanyahu is doing, that you have the prime minister of a major global power like India arriving in the country and embracing Netanyahu, giving him what Netanyahu called the Modi hug, and of course coming to Israel's parliament as an important sign of solidarity. So it's obvious that this alliance, quote unquote, with India is something which gives Israel and the Prime Minister of Israel a great deal of confidence, a great deal of support, and this is essentially why for Netanyahu this is such a crucial moment. And he, in fact, got very emotional when he said he would like to thank Narendra Modi for standing by Israel, and that was clearly the statement of an isolated man, of an isolated prime minister, of a prime minister who is reviled in the eyes of the world, and also, I dare say, in the eyes of many, many Israeli citizens, because Israel itself is a deeply polarized country. And so this visit by Netanyahu, by Modi to Netanyahu is a great shot in the arm for the Israeli prime minister, which is why he was so fulsome about it. There was another significant point that I picked up on. Netanyahu spoke about Modi's 2017 visit, and he said how that visit led to, I believe he said, the trebling of India-Israel relations. And he said we embarked on areas of cooperation that we cannot speak about, we should not speak about. And to my mind, that seemed like a pretty clear reference to Israel's decision back in 2017 to supply the Narendra Modi government with intrusive Pegasus spyware that the government of India under Modi used with devastating effect against opposition politicians, against human rights defenders, against journalists, even against a young woman who had accused the then Chief Justice of India, Ranjan Gogoi, of sexual harassment. So the reference to areas of cooperation that we can't talk about is, I suppose, Netanyahu's way of talking about the extent to which Israel and India have been working together. Now, turning to Modi's speech, and I think if I were to characterize this in any one way, if somebody were to ask me what's the headline of Modi's speech, I would say this is the diplomacy of an ostrich. You have the prime minister of a country like India visiting Israel at a time when the country stands accused of having conducted a terrible genocide. You have him visiting Israel at a time when the war clouds are gathering in West Asia. There's talk of an imminent American attack with Israeli support on Iran. This is at a time when India itself has warned its citizens in Iran to leave the country by any means possible. And you have Modi going to Israel, speaking in the Knesset, as if this is a completely normal situation where there is no war, there was no genocide, there is no turmoil. And he's talking about yoga, he's talking about Ayurveda, he's talking about the Indian performance of Indian soldiers as part of the British Army in 1918 in Haifa. You wonder which world is he living in? Here you are visiting a country that stands accused of war crimes, a country that is in illegal possession of Palestinian territory, a country that is using every means possible to grab land that belongs to ordinary Palestinians. You're visiting a country which you yourself, your government, has agreed to sign a statement about barely 2 days ago, a statement circulated by the Palestinians and supported by over 80 countries, condemning Israel for grabbing Palestinian land in the West Bank. And you go to this, you go to the country that's doing all these things. You go there as a friend. You go there at a time when the Prime Minister of Israel and the Israeli MKs are looking at you and applauding you. Here is the golden moment for a country that aspires to world status, that aspires to a Security Council permanent seat, to speak a few home truths, to tell your supposed friends that it is not okay to grab Palestinian land. It is not okay to commit genocide. Instead, what you had was Modi again speaking, and this is all part of the, ostrich-like diplomacy. He goes to the floor of the Knesset and expresses condolences as he should, and I don't think anybody will disagree with the fact that you express condolences in the parliament of a country that lost 1,000+ civilians in the October 2023 attack by Hamas. But then you pretend as if nothing happened after that. You pretend as if more than 70,000 people were not slaughtered by Israel in a genocidal bombing, in a genocidal campaign against the people of Gaza. None of that, figures at all in anything that Modi said. And I often feel that, who is better placed to tell somebody you call a friend that what they're doing is unacceptable than a friend? Yet this was something that Modi completely steered away from. His only reference to the Palestinian issue was a very, very wishy-washy, very vague statement. He, a little bit late in his speech, roughly halfway through, he spoke about how he spoke about the Abraham Accords, which are pretty much dead in the water right now, as a moment of great hope. And then he said that the Gaza Peace Initiative, which is Donald Trump's so-called Gaza Board of Peace, endorsed by the Security Council, offers a pathway. And he said that this is important to provide peace for all the people in the region. And essentially, he also added that by addressing the Palestinian issue. So there's no reference to the right of the people of Palestine to self-determination. There is no reference to even the two-state solution that India officially stands by. There's no reference to Palestinian statehood. Instead, you have this vague notion of addressing the Palestinian issue. And this choice of language is not accidental, it's deliberate. Because the Israeli government under Netanyahu has completely rejected the very idea of statehood for Palestine, the very idea of the two-state solution, which is a bit of a fiction today, frankly, given the behavior of the Israeli state, but it's nevertheless an important legal principle that the people of Palestine have as much right to their own state in that region with clearly demarcated borders as do the people of Israel. And that is what the two-state solution is all about. And this is something which the Israelis have rejected. And again, you can see our ostrich-like prime minister not wanting to offend his Israeli hosts in any way by speaking a few home truths, completely avoiding any reference to the two-state solution, and instead talking in a very, very vague way about the Gaza Peace Initiative, offering a pathway for durable peace for all people in the region, including by addressing the Palestinian issue. So such a vague, wishy-washy rendering of India's traditionally robust stand on Palestine, where we have stood for the rights of the people of Palestine to self-determination, to their own state, with East Jerusalem as their capital. None of that figures in Mr. Modi's speech. Instead, he talks about, he prefers to talk about trade, defense cooperation, all of those things, of course. And then he talks about yoga and Ayurveda and the importance of Israeli students visiting India, so on and so forth, but completely avoids the burning questions of the day. And I think that this is the kind of speech that somebody who is keen to avoid any kind of negative reaction from his hosts wanted to make, and that's exactly what Modi said. As I would like to repeat, that this is a further departure from India's traditional position on the importance of a Palestinian state. There's no mention of that whatsoever, and instead you have a kind of conscious positioning, other kind of erasure. Like Mr. Modi spoke about how in the 1950s and 60s there was great admiration in India for Israel, which of course there was. And he mentioned Acharya Vinoba Bhave and Jayaprakash Narayan, looking at the kibbutz and Israeli Israeli use, the ability to farm, to pursue agriculture in arid or desert areas, completely forgetting the fact that by 1967 and after 1967, when Israel is an occupation, illegal occupation of the Palestinian territory on the West Bank and the Gaza Strip, even somebody like JP, who may have spoken out in defense of in praise of Israeli science, technology, and agricultural use, etc., became a strong critic of Israel's occupation of Palestinian land, and remained till his dying day a strong supporter of the right of the Palestinian people to their own country. So this erasure of history, talking of JP in some vague way as a supporter of, as an admirer of Israeli agricultural prowess, but not talking about what he actually said as Israel's policies became more and more apparent in the 1967 war and after, is another example of Mr. Modi completely avoiding any difficult areas, any difficult topics, and going as far as possible to appease his Israeli hosts. This appeasement was further on display when, it seemed to me at moments in his speech that Mr. Modi was speaking to the Prime Minister of the Jewish state of Israel as a representative of a Hindu state of India. So, for example, when he was comparing festivals, I think it's a great idea to compare Diwali and Hanukkah, for example, two festivals that share things in common. Although I have to mention, I was surprised by Mr. Modi reducing the celebration of Diwali in India to the somber lighting of lamps when his party people agitate to burst crackers. But so Mr. Modi drew attention to the similarity between Hanukkah and Diwali. He drew attention, they're not very similar, but he drew attention to at least the timing of Holi and Purim. But there is a festival which will be widely celebrated in India and will be widely celebrated by nearly 20%, if not more, of the people, citizens of Israel, which is the festival of Eid, which is going to come in a few weeks' time. No mention of that, of course. That is as much, Eid is as much an Indian festival as is Diwali or Holi. And for the Prime Minister of India to again, completely avoid any references, any talking points that his hosts would find dissonant in some way, I think underscores the extent to which Mr. Modi is going out of his way to appease his Israeli hosts, which of course raises the big question. Normally in diplomacy, you have what are called reciprocal visits. Mr. Modi visited Israel way back in 2017. And since then, an Israeli prime minister has not come to India. It's unusual then for India to make a second prime ministerial visit. And the question is, why the visit at this time? I was speaking to an Israeli friend about this, and he offered what I thought was a pretty good explanation, which is that as far as Modi is concerned, for him, the big demand, apart from whatever defense stuff India wants to buy, which Israel will sell anyway, what Mr. Modi wants through this effusive display of support for Netanyahu and for Israel at this time, at a time, as I said, when Israel is on the verge of joining the US in a war against Iran, when Israel is grabbing more and more Palestinian land in the West Bank and other and no let up in Israeli violence even after the ceasefire in Gaza. What Mr. Modi wants is to somehow use the support of Israel in order to repair his relationship with Donald Trump. And I think that this is really a major problem and a challenge for Indian diplomacy, that despite having learned the hard way that the relentless pursuit of proximity to the United States comes with a price, and now that price is staring you in your face, Mr. Modi still does not appear to have learned his lessons. Instead, he would like to use Netanyahu as a crutch, provide Netanyahu a great boost by being perhaps the first, maybe the second, third, or maybe the fourth major world leader to visit Israel since the indictment of Netanyahu for war crimes. What he hopes is, so he gives a boost to Netanyahu. What he hopes is that Netanyahu will help help repair relations with America. So all told, I would say, judging by Netanyahu's comments in Parliament and Mr. Modi's speech, from the Indian point of view, this is, as I said, diplomacy of an ostrich. You want to completely duck any of the difficult issues. You don't want to speak, even as a friend would tell a friend, that offer friendly advice to Netanyahu and to Israel, that what they're doing is destructive for the region. It goes against the wider interests of the people of Israel themselves. None of that figures. None of that Mr. Modi wants to talk about. Instead, you have this very, very artificial, feel-good performance, which is aimed at boosting the domestic political credentials of Benjamin Netanyahu at a time when he continues to face a very, very divided public, and of course to give a boost to Mr. Modi, who has suffered somewhat of a setback on his reputation at home as being a diplomatic master because of what Trump has done. This is some attempt to repair his image. We leave it there, and we will come back to you, of course, tomorrow with more analysis as more details emerge of Mr. Modi's visit, the agreements that are on the anvil, etc. So do keep watching The Wire for more coverage of this visit. Thank you very much.